The following program is rated TV MALV. It contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? What's going on? Welcome to the After Hours show. If you have missed the show that we did Tuesday, please go back to our downloads and grab it. This is your boy, the Dean. Welcome to the show. If you have iTunes, you can download the After Hours show. You know what the After Hours show is. We take our ties off a little bit. We sit back and relax and chop up game. Now, like I said before, man, hey, it is a pleasure. It is truly an honor with the guy that I have on my show today. This guy seems like, even though I've been in this game for over 10 years, man, I feel like I'm under his wing, rolling side by side shotgun with this guy, because this guy has done nothing but support datingformen.com, and we 110% support him. That's why we had to carry this over, because look, you got to know the man behind the mic. Unfortunately, we had a lot of calls and we didn't get a chance to sit down and really talk to this guy. That's why I had to do an after hours show. I had to. It was imperative to do one. Now, I have my boy, his name, Frank B. Kermit. You should have known that, because I know you were listening to the show that we just recorded. So now we're over here on the After Hours show. Now let's start it. Let's get it rolling. Kermit, tell me about the book, your first book.
My first one is From Loser to Seducer.
Okay, From Loser.
It's my autobiography.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second here. I mean, we got our ties back. You can kick back, Kermit. You can say whatever you want to say, because after hours, anything goes.
Whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. So, Kermit, let's talk about Loser to Seducer, man. Let's because there's a lot of guys out there who, it's shocking, because let me tell you, Kermit, if I was a guy who couldn't get women and I heard you speak, I would think that you've been doing this for years. So apparently you have the secret pill to show these guys that you can unplug from your matrix and you can change your lifestyle.
Right. What people underestimate is how difficult a process it can be and how long it can take. I've been at this now for a number of years, and I went from the absolute lowest of the low point, where I was morbidly obese, I was suicidal, I couldn't even get up out of the chair for more than 20 minutes without being in extreme pain in my feet. That's how bad I was. And I changed from that to being able to live the life that I have now, where I don't worry anymore whether or not I can get myself a girlfriend. I don't worry anymore about growing up alone. I don't worry anymore if I can find love. I create love. And that's a nice place to be.
And most guys, I'm sure most guys are like, wow, I mean, how do I do? Well, you want to know what? How you can do it? You can go grab his book. Go to frankstalk.com. frankstalk.com. Go over there. Check him out. We totally 120% endorse this guy. It's all in the pudding, and that's why I had him on the show earlier today, ladies and gentlemen, because the guy's game is on point. You heard there was some rough callers in there. There was some supportive callers, and you know what? The whole time, Frank didn't break a sweat. Kermit kept it together. Kermit was on point. Kermit stuck to his guns. Because listen, guys, listen out here, guys, and listen to this. Get your crayons out, because listen. This is something that he did that some of you guys might not realize. He never compromised his beliefs. He never compromised what he's been writing in all his books, his standards and all that, just to please somebody. No, he stuck to his guns, and that's why we got to give the man respect. Now, Kermit, loser to seducer. What would you say, in your opinion, is the most pivotal point or pivotal aspect of the book that, if I'm reading it, I know you're going to talk about, I guess in the beginning of your book, you talk about how you started off and how things were going and all this other stuff. Now, were you saying that your pivotal point before then, for those who haven't listened to the other show, was your pivotal point the time of the prom, or was it the time the woman went and dated someone out of race?
It was that one. Let me just give you just a quick summary.
Please.
When I was in high school, I got stood up at my prom, humiliated in front of my entire high school class. When I was in university, I was madly in love with the girl that I was dating. She ended up leaving me for my best friend, and I considered her like my fiance, and he knew it, and I got betrayed there on both sides. Finally, I hung out with a girl for 2 years that I never actually dated. I was hoping she would change her mind. She said that she could never date me because I wasn't the same race and culture as her, and then one day she announced that she's marrying somebody who's a different race and culture than her. And that for me was the breaking point. That for me was when I said, I got to figure this out or I'm going to kill myself. And it was just like that. It was, I'll never forget that night. And this part is not in the book because I didn't want to write about it too much, but I will talk about it here in the interview. That night was just so bad. I walked into the garage where my uncle had some hunting rifles. And I was trying to figure out how could I get the rifles out of the cabinet and if it would be possible to blow my brains out. That's how in a bad state I was. And I didn't do it. I said, you know what? I have to figure this out or I'm going to kill myself. I eventually stumbled onto Ross Jeffries' material. I started studying that, and that began a long process for me. I was so bad. I was at such a loser point in my life that it took me 2.5 years of trial and error, studying, learning something, applying it, making mistakes, going back to the drawing board. 2.5 years of that before I got my first lay.
And was it after your first lay that you realized? When did you realize that, hey, you know what? I've got something here. Matter of fact, man, I mean, when was the point where you saw like Neo in the Matrix, where the world slowed down for you, where you can point out the bad ones?
6 months into it. From the time I made the decision not to kill myself, within about 6 months, I had an experience where I got a girl to come over to my place. A girl I'd never met before. I met her through the internet. I got her to come over to my place. At one point, we watched a movie. I wasn't making any moves. Like I said, I was a loser. I didn't know what to do. I kept trying everything, tripping over myself. At one point, she just wanted to get up and leave. And I just said, you know what? I'm going for broke. I got smooth. I started talking to her. I just figured, you know what? She's going to leave anyway, so why not just throw everything I have at her? And within 20 minutes of that, she was naked, on the sofa, her legs spread, and she was asking me to do her.
And you said, holy shit.
That's right. And you know what? I was just, get this, okay? I'm going to admit this here on your show. I was so shocked, I couldn't do it.
What?
I could not believe, I'm telling you, well, like I said, I had experiences like this for 2.5 years before I got the first lay, because this girl, I got her 6 months into this. I couldn't believe that I had done it. I could not believe. I'm standing there. She's naked. She's ready for me. And I'm just standing there like a doofus saying, oh, my God, it worked.
So what happened? I mean, did she just put her clothes back on and leave, or what happened?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm just like, wow, it worked. You did it. And I'm so caught in the moment of the fact that like you said, the entire world for me slowed down. It was unreal. So she was like, well, aren't you going to do it? I'm thinking, yeah, I'm trying, but nothing was happening there. And that's the type of shock it was. After she left, I just remember thinking to myself, okay, I found it. I found the key. Now I just have to actually go through the process. It still took me 2 more years to get back up to that level again, because I still didn't know what I did right. I just know I did a bunch of stuff right. It was the first time that I even got a girl on the first date like that.
Mm-hmm.
Up until that point, whenever I had a relationship, it'd be a few weeks to a few months before I'd get anything. Now, the life that I have now is that, listen, if I don't have her within the first 3 dates, I've done something wrong.
See, I got to let you repeat that again because I didn't tell the guys to get the crayons out for that one. Please say that again, man.
Okay. From where I was to where I am now, for the skill that I've got now, if I don't get a girl to sleep with me within the first date to a maximum of 3 dates, then I know I've done something wrong. You see, I don't have one-night stands. when I have a sex with a girl on the first night, she comes back. That's why it's not a one-night stand.
Hold up, Pimp. Hold up, man. Hold up, Kermit. Hold up, I gotta, hey, look, Pimp Kermit over here. Hold up, man. I gotta play the music for him. Where's my music at?
Where's the porn music?
Yeah, there we go. Hey, my boy Kermit is talking some pimped out stuff. We gotta have the porn music for him. Okay, I'm sorry, Kermit. We had to give you some love on that one, man. Please continue, Tom. Go ahead, man. Oh, man.
From the time I got my first lay, and that was in 2.5 years of studying this stuff. Now, here's the kicker. Prior to the 2.5 years of studying this stuff and making this stuff work, I went 2.5 years with no sex just prior to that, which means that I went a full 5 years with no sex before changing all this.
Now, do you think? Now, honestly, and I think that's. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think that do you think it made you stronger? It made you immune to sex? You know, where it's like.
No, it damaged me.
Really?
Listen, let me lay this out for you. Anybody who's listening here, especially the guys out there who haven't had sex in a long time. Okay, sex is a healing energy, and when you go without sex for a long period of time, it damages you. And if you think that the longer you go without sex, the less you're going to miss it, you're wrong. There's a reason why human beings have sex. It's because it heals them. It keeps them balanced. And if you're not having sex for a number of years, don't think that that damage isn't coming out in some way. After having no sex for 5 years and finally getting that very first lay, it's like an absolute relief, man. It's like a weight was lifted off my chest. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was saying then, so once you got it, then you looked in the mirror and put your hat on your head and you said, oh, shit, I'm Kermit now, motherfuckers.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I was imagining all of my friends yelling out, Kermit, Kermit, while I was doing the deed. And that's a nice feeling, you know, when you got a cheering section.
Hey, we are getting things from Kermit that you listeners never thought we would get. That's what happens when you listen to the After Hours show. Wow. Now, Loser to the Seducer. Okay, you got that book going, book tour, you know, you're going around signing books and everything. Where everything out of her mouth is a test. Where did that spawn? Was it something that happened and said, oh, shit, I got to write a book about this?
Okay, well, here's the thing. Where I was in Montreal, I was getting referrals from people who I had helped. Like, do you remember the movie Hitch?
Yes.
Did you see the movie Hitch, Will Smith?
Yeah.
Where he's always working on referrals. He helps some guy, and then that guy tells another friend. Well, that's what was happening to me. Every person that I was helping was referring me to somebody else. So next thing I know, I went from helping this guy to helping another guy. Then I was helping groups of guys. And I kept telling the same story, and I kept saying, look, this is where I was. I went 5 years of no sex, and then I ended up with having a harem of 5 girlfriends at the same time. From the time I got my first lay, after that 5-year stint with no sex, it took 6 months. I had a harem of 5 girlfriends. I'm not a good-looking guy. I'm overweight. I'm not rich. My car barely works. Like I tell some people, listen, my car spent more time in the garage than my dick ever spent inside a pussy, okay? I don't have good looks. I'm still overweight. I'm not as obese as I used to be, but I'm still overweight. I don't have the money. I got a car that breaks down. I don't even have the car now because it's completely gone. But guess what, man? I had 5 girlfriends at the same time.
Yeah. See, that goes to show you guys it doesn't matter how you look. It's basically how you feel. It's
just
for those insecure guys out there, listen to his story. Get your crayons out. These guys that think they're too short, think they're too fat, think they don't have the money, think they don't have the car. You can do it. You can go from whack to mac.
Yes, definitely.
Before I continue on with helping the other guys, I do want to make one thing very clear to everybody who's listening, okay? If you're listening to this and you're an overweight guy, or you got a handicap, or you think you're too short, or you think you're too skinny, or whatever the issue is, just understand this. Your game has to be stronger than the average guy to compensate for whatever it is that you're lacking. If you don't have money, you don't have good looks, you don't have all the other stuff that normally help attract to women, if you don't got those things, it's okay. You can still get her on game. But that also means that your game has to be stronger. You don't have a margin of error to make mistakes. Whereas somebody who might be really good looking can afford to make more mistakes than you, it's still not an excuse. I had zero margin of error. I had situations where I gained the girl up to the point of leaning in for that first kiss after knowing her for a few hours. I'm leaning in for that first kiss, and she backs away and says, "No way, man, you're overweight. I'm not attracted to fat guys." What does that mean? That means that if I was a bit thinner or whatever the case is, maybe she would have gone for it. The bottom line is this. Yeah, I had more to contend with. Yeah, I had to try even harder than everybody else. But I did it. So can you. If you're short, if you don't have money, if you don't have good looks, guess what? It means you have to work harder, but the goal is still attainable.
So what was the thing that made you start your next book, the story behind that?
When I was explaining to guys the various stories and all the stuff that I'd gone through, I kept finding myself going over the same examples, the same thing. And guys were asking me, "Hey, man, I keep taking notes and I keep calling you up and that. Don't you just have a reference? Like, don't you just have a bunch of old emails that we could just read?" So that's when I decided that maybe I should be writing a book, and I started organizing it. Now, here's the moment that I said I have to write the book. Here it is. I was walking down the streets with a guy, and he was asking me some questions. I was giving him answers. It was about game. When you approach a girl, why did this approach work with this girl, but it didn't work with the other one? I was giving him the right answers, but I didn't know why they were the right answers anymore. I couldn't articulate why this answer was the right answer. I just knew it instinctually because, I've been doing this for so many years.
Right.
I've internalized everything. When I got home that night, I went into all of my old emails and my old writings and all my old notes, and it turns out that I had the exact same question that this guy was asking me, but it was like 5 years ago. And I'm thinking, man, I was in that exact same situation. I asked the exact same question. I found my answer, but it bothered me that I was starting to forget where I came from. It bothered me that I was forgetting my roots. That's when I said, the hell with it. Not only am I going to write my theories of seduction, which is everything out of her mouth is a test, I also have to write my autobiography. I have to remember the pain I was in. I have to remember where I come from. Otherwise, I'm not able to relate to where a guy's coming from. My book, From Loser to Seducer, was such a painful thing for me to write because I had to go over all the times I screwed up. I had to go over all the pain I went through getting back my ex-fiancée. After 7 years apart, I actually got back my ex-fiancée. And I had to write how painful that experience was because not only did I get her back, I won her over, I did the right thing, and after everything I had studied, that relationship still didn't work. And that's when I learned it doesn't matter how great a player you are. Sometimes the reason a relationship doesn't work is because sometimes it just isn't going to work. Mm-hmm. And you could have all the best skill in the world. That's why a man has to be willing to walk away.
Charge it to the game, we say. You have to learn how to. You're not going to get every woman. Like Kermit said, ladies and gentlemen, every relationship isn't going to work. It's just how things are made. That's why when you realize it's not going to work, like Kermit said, you got to get out, or like we say, you have to charge it to the game and move on. Yes.
And move on.
Exactly. So I ended up just sitting down. I wrote the autobiography. I released it, and my ex-fiancée ended up reading the book. The majority of our story is in there, our entire relationship. She ended up loving it. She wrote a review of my book. It's up on my website, franktalks.com, where she says how she remembered me as clingy, as needy, and reading the book, it was like seeing the guy that she fell in love with all those years ago again. That I was finally the man again in her eyes. And that's a nice feeling. Even though we're not together anymore, the fact that she went ahead and wrote a review like that, that's a nice thing.
Now, I'm not going to mention any names. We don't do that here. But there are a lot of artists out there that I feel are teaching these guys the wrong thing, as in, using pickup lines and things like that. How do you feel about that? I mean, out of respect, you let them do their thing, whatever. But how do you feel like when you meet somebody who was dealing with somebody who taught them so many things that you feel are wrong, you had to reprogram them again? How do you go about doing that, man?
Okay, wow, that's a big question. So let me start off. I'm going to address the different schools of seduction out there. If a guy has got some base natural game, he really doesn't need all that much. He needs a few pointers on how to think about women and he'll be okay.
Right.
When a guy is starting from nothing, all those pickup lines, the routines, the gimmicks, they're good as a place to start. If a guy had, like, I started with nothing, dude. Remember, it took me 2.5 years to get that first lay. I was using all the gimmicks. I was using the canned lines and the canned material. You know what? I needed it. I needed it to give me an example of what to do. I needed it, so I'm going to get very personal here, okay? One of my gimmicks was palmistry. I went ahead and I learned actually how to legitimately read palms. It wasn't just a seduction tactic. I actually learned how to read palms. In case anybody would ask me questions, I'd have an answer. Here's what ended up happening. Because I didn't have any other real game, I would go to a party, and I would spend all night reading people's palms. I got so good that you would have lineups of women ready for me to read a palm. I didn't get laid, but I had women lining up wanting to talk to me. Now, why is that still useful? Because as a guy who was at the worst part of his life, the opportunity to sit there and hold a woman's hand, the opportunity just to get used to talking with women, and just using palmistry as just that bridge to get into that position. The idea of actually holding a woman's hand, rubbing it, getting comfortable being around women, smelling a woman's perfume but not getting lost in the scent, where I'm actually still the man and still staying focused on whatever it is I'm trying to do. As frustrating as it was that, for those months that I did it, hey, I didn't get laid, but look at the experience that I got through using those gimmicks. The mistake people make is that they think that the gimmick is what gets them laid. It's not. The gimmick is to give them a tool so that they get more comfortable being around and talking and interacting with women. Once you get good at that, then you can give away the gimmick. Then you can drop the gimmick. But the gimmick is good to at least bring you up to a base level. The second thing I'm going to say, when guys have to unlearn stuff, I disagree with that concept. Because anything you learn is going to be useful in some area of your life. I'll give you an example. A lot of guys might spend some time learning things like how to be more cocky, right? How to be more confident. Now, if you're a complete wallflower and you're not used to getting in people's faces or having fun, you need to learn how to be cocky. When you take it too far and you end up maybe getting into a fight in a bar because you got too cocky, or you ended up hurting some girl's feelings and you didn't mean to, you know what? That's when you drop it. But the cockiness itself is not something to unlearn. It's just to learn when it is appropriate to use it. So rather than try to undo certain behaviors, just learn new behaviors to put into those situations. That's what I tell those guys who come to me damaged, saying, that guy taught me this, that guy taught me that, and it screwed me up. Well, hold on. That guy taught you stuff that he's been able to make work. Now, if you found that it doesn't work for you, it's because you're not calibrating to when you're supposed to use that stuff. And that's what I tell the guys who say, well, man, I studied under him, and he screwed up my game. I was getting laid more, and now I'm not getting laid at all. Well, that's not because his material was bad. It's because you don't know how to use it.
Man, I'm looking at your page here on frankstalk.com, ladies and gentlemen. That's franktalks.com. And I see all different types of seminars, man. Golly, are you the seminar king or what, man?
Well, I looked at what has worked for me and what I'm able to lecture about for a lot of hours, and that's what I give my seminars on. So whatever it is you want to ask me now, and I'll give you an overview of what the seminars entail.
Okay, let's go with, let's talk about everything out of her mouth is a test seminar.
Okay, here it is. I have one original seduction theory, that if you can follow this rule, you'll usually make the right choice when you're dealing with women. Okay? Here it is. A woman can only play one of two roles in any man's life. She's either your mother or she's your lover. When the woman that you are with starts acting like your mother, it means that she's losing attraction. It means you are losing power in the relationship. It means you are no longer leading. So every time she does something that makes her more like your mother, you got to tell her, hey, stop. You're not my mother. And that reestablishes your control of the relationship.
So you mean to tell me, like, for instance, everybody loves Raymond. You mean to tell me if Raymond were to tell his wife, stop it, you're not my mother, she'd respect him more?
Oh, not only would she respect him more, she'd give him better sex. You got to understand something, okay? In a show like Everybody Loves Raymond, his wife is very domineering and controlling of him. Guess what? In the real world, she would have a guy like me on the side. They loved their husbands. They would never leave their husbands, but they're sick of dealing with their husband as if he's another child in the family.
Yeah, how many times, because I've had this happen with strippers and married women, how many times have you had such great sex with them that they were ready to leave? I mean, you had an agreement, you know, this is just going to be a sex thing in the beginning, but then all of a sudden they're in love with you. How many times that happened to you, man?
I can say that the majority of the women that I've been with at some point wanted to have my kids. And if it's a girl who I don't want to have kids with, I know how to make myself unattractive. And the way I make myself unattractive is that I get her to be more of my mommy, and I violate her emotional needs. You see, my whole concept comes to 10 basic emotional needs that every woman has. If in everything you say or do, you address these 10 emotional needs, she can't help but find you attractive. She can't help but want to have your babies. If you violate these 10 emotional needs, depending on which one you violate and how often you do it, she might cheat on you, she might leave you. But it all comes down to these 10 emotional needs. So that's my theory. And everything out of her mouth is a test. A man's guide to the emotional needs of women. I talk about my mother-lover theory, explaining that the reason a woman will test a man all the time, it's not because she's doing it consciously. It's because a woman's instinct to mother you is stronger than her instinct to fuck you.
Damn, dog. Damn.
A lot of guys get very frustrated and angry with women. Why are you testing me, woman? Just stop testing me. I've already told you that. Why are you bringing up the same thing? Because we're assuming that as if they were a man, they're doing this consciously. They're not. A woman's instinct to mother is stronger than her instinct to have sex. That's what you're battling. That's why guys get so tired, because they think that these women are planning this sort of thing. They don't. It's an instinct. So as long as you can understand that she's just going on instinct, you don't ever have to get violent with a woman. You don't even have to get angry with her. She's just doing what her instincts program her to do.
Well, let me ask you a question. For the guys who want to get to your seminars, or the guys who need to email you, or guys who need to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
All right, you go visit my website, franktalks.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. There's, if you want just one-on-one time with me, go through my website, send me an email, and depending what you want to talk about. I mean, I do a seminar on addressing a woman's emotional needs. It's how to think. It's a way to analyze any situation you throw at me. I can do an analysis of it, and I can tell you what you did right, what you did wrong, and how to correct it.
Isn't that amazing how we can do that? Isn't that amazing how, isn't that amazing to you how before you didn't have that, and then like now you've got it, and it's like, doesn't that, like, sometimes don't you sit back and say, God damn.
Yeah, I do. And here's something that most people don't know. During the time that I was going through this learning process, I had a really good job and a really great career path. I wasn't putting in as much time and effort in my career anymore because I was trying to focus on myself and trying to understand relationships, because I believe that everything comes down to one belief, one unifying belief, that if you can have this belief and then explain it, that part of your life won't be a problem anymore. For me, in seduction, the rule is she's either your mother or she's your lover. If she has to take responsibility for you, she's your mother. If you're the one taking the responsibility for leading the relationship, she gets to be your lover. Good. And women don't want to be mothers. They want to be lovers.
Get your crayon. Get your crayon.
Man, he's breaking it down. Now, you have storytelling seminars. Matter of fact, hold on, let me ask you a question. You have so many seminars. Do you do this like every month, or how does that work?
I got enough different seminars that I could do a different one every week, and within a span of 2 months, not have to repeat the same thing. I want to finish up with the emotional needs, and then we can go into the other seminars.
Please, continue.
All right. These are the 10 emotional needs of any woman, and if you violate these emotional needs, she loses attraction for you. If you address these emotional needs, she's more likely to have sex with you and fall in love with you. Here they are. Emotional need number 1. The protection of her most valuable asset is her reputation. One of the things a woman will do when she's testing you is that she's going to say things to you about her quote-unquote friends. The way you react is how she knows if you're going to protect her reputation. So here's an example. She'll come up to you and say, you know what? My friend Janet, she went to this party, and then she got really drunk, and then she danced topless on the speaker, and then she had sex with 3 guys that night. Now, if you turn around and say, well, your friend Janet is a slut, What you're communicating to this woman is, if she ever does it, you're going to think of her as a slut, and you won't be there to protect her rep. So the proper answer to give is, hey, Janet is your friend. Why would you talk about her like that to me? I would never diss one of my friends like that.
Sweet.
Another thing you could say to a girl like that, right? Let's say we're using the same example. She says, oh, my friend Janet did this, and she had sex with the 3 guys. You could turn around and say, hey, you know what? I respect the fact that Janet is really an open-spirited girl like that. I like that. That means something to me. What that sub-communicates to this woman, you like women who are adventurous, so that she will now be more inclined to be adventurous with you. Why? You address the emotional need. Here's another thing that guys make a mistake, right? When they're trying to convince the new girl that they're over their ex, they talk bad about the ex. Mistake. Why? Because you're not protecting the reputation of your ex. You need to say something like, you know what? What happened between me and my ex, there were some good moments, there were some unpleasant moments, but that's not to be discussed with you or anybody else. That's between me and her. Yeah. And it stays between you. Boom. She knows now that if she has sex with you, no matter how bad it gets, nobody else finds out about anything. The surest way to make sure that you have sex with every single one of her female friends is that every time the female friend comes up to you and says, hey, I heard you had sex with Mindy last week, your response has to be, what are you talking about? I don't talk about this thing in public. Well, why would you even ask me that? I don't want to talk about this. This is none of your business. Because what happens there is that all of her friends figure, well, if I have sex with him, he won't tell anybody either. Boom. The next thing you know, you've had sex with like 3 of her 5 female friends. Here's the key. Here's the key, all right? The women will tell each other. The women will say, well, you know, I had sex with him. Well, you know, I had sex with him. Well, you know, I had sex with him. They will tell each other, and they will compare notes. Well, he made me orgasm 3 times. Oh, he only made me orgasm once. Why? Well, he didn't make me. He did this. He did that. Well, we tried this thing. When they all come up to you, you say, you know what? It's none of your business. I don't talk about that sort of thing in public. That guarantees that every single one of her female friends, it crosses their mind at least once. It crosses their mind that if they ever need a booty call, you're the guy they're going to call. So that's emotional need number 1, the protection of her reputation. Emotional need number 2, women want to feel a range of emotion. What does every married guy do? Where does every married guy screw up? He thinks he's supposed to make his wife happy. Happiness is a good emotion, but it's only one. Your job as a man is to make sure that she gets the full range. That sometimes she's angry with you, and sometimes she's frustrated, and sometimes she's having an orgasmic moment, and sometimes she's content and happy. It's okay to piss her off. If anything, you as the man, it's your job every now and then to piss her off. If all you do is make a woman happy, and she's feeling happy, and yay, she's happy, you're only giving her one emotion. She'll fuck somebody like me on the side just to get other emotions into it. Every now and then, if she's starting the drama, if she's picking a fight for absolutely no reason, it's because she needs the emotional range. She's too happy. You with me so far?
Dog, break it down. Go ahead, man.
All right. Emotional need number 3. Cater to the little girl in her. This is when you show you know the difference between ignoring what she says and when she just needs you to give her a hug. Sometimes all she needs is to be reassured. When women talk and they're complaining, they don't want you to solve their problems. Sometimes all they want is for you to say, come here, give her a hug, and then she's done. She has her emotional range. She got reassured like a little girl. When she misbehaves, scold her as if she's 5 years old. It addresses an emotional need like you would not believe. I have this one story, and it's in my book, Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test, where some girl filled up my ice cube tray in my fridge. I didn't even know she did that. She comes back a week later, she finds a few ice cubes missing. She freaks out. You've had other people here. You've been entertaining. I know, because I'm the one who filled your ice cube tray. Get this, okay? She was checking my ice cube tray in order to try and keep tabs on me.
Dang.
The phone rings, I go answer it. She goes on the other extension to pick it up to see if it's a girl calling me. She went and picked up the phone in a house that isn't hers.
Woo! What do you think about that?
Hey, man, I'm not going to say nothing. Let him keep going, man. He on point. Please continue.
I'm enraged at this point, and now I have a choice to make. I can either yell and scream at her, or I can scold her as if I would be scolding a child. So after, it turned out to be one of my male friends. We talked a bit. I hung up. I called her over as if I'm calling over a 5-year-old. Come here. I want to talk to you. I sat her down on the bed. I sat down next to her. And I said, this behavior is simply unacceptable. And I went on as if I'm scolding a 5-year-old girl. I'm showing her that I still like her, that I even love her, but I will not accept bad behavior. And I said, now I want you to go into the living room, I want you to sit down, and I want you to think about what you've done. And I said it in that tonality. Get this, man. She got up, walked into the living room, sat down, and she actually sat there thinking about what she had done. Now, on the outside, I'm totally calm, I'm cool, I'm giving a real presence of dominance. On the inside, I'm thinking, oh my God, she actually did it?
No. You were like, holy shit, it worked.
So I said, okay, I'm going to use this in the future, man. This is cool.
Please continue, man. This is good, man. Please continue.
Find out who her favorite cartoon character from when she was a little girl was, and imitate that voice every once in a while. Cater to that little girl in her. It's one of the 10 emotional needs, and it's one of the most powerful. Because if she starts seeing you as that daddy figure, she will be obedient. All right, number 4. Now this is the one you guys are going to be able to relate to. Be dominant and take the responsibility for leading the relationship. 100% of the responsibility for the sex is all your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's an example, okay? Despite what everything feminism has taught our generation of men, women don't want the responsibility. They want to know that their opinions are heard. Why? Because let's say she has an allergy to a certain type of food. Let's say you're planning to go out to dinner. She wants to know that if she says, listen, I'm allergic to seafood, I can't have seafood. Well, you're not going to be stupid and put her at risk by taking her out to a seafood restaurant. But you do have to be the one to make the final choice. You got to be the one to say, this is what we're doing. So she says, I don't know, what do you want to do? Have an answer. I want to go out to a movie and then dinner. You can always change your mind later, but you have to have a definite answer in the moment. That's establishing dominance. Now here's the kicker, okay? When it comes to sex, everything is your fault as a man. Birth control, your responsibility. The fact that you're having sex is your fault. I cannot tell you how many women I've gotten to sleep with me just by telling them, baby, it's okay. Whatever happens naturally, it's my fault.
Damn.
Because remember, she's always worried about people finding out. Well, if somebody finds out, she can say, but it's Kermit's fault. But then I come in and say, yeah, you know what? I'm a dog. It's my fault. It's all my fault. She gets to blame me for her having a good time, which is exactly what women want. Women want to have a good time and blame somebody else for it. So I step up and say, hey, you know what? If we have sex, it'll be my fault. I challenge any guy listening to this right now. Try it. When you're about to have sex and she says, no, I don't think we should, tell her, whatever happens, it's all my fault. Watch what happens.
Hey, Flash! I think we need to send Kermit a pack of sleeves, man. I don't think he.
Oh yeah. I
think I'm gonna send him a pack of sleeves, man.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that, man. Please continue, sir. Please continue. You're doing wonderful, man.
Okay. So that's the dominance. Dominance means you take responsibility for the sex. Number 5, emotional need number 5. Women fear abandonment. The only way that you can make a woman not fear abandonment is that she needs to know that she is unique to you in some way. That's the only thing. A fear of abandonment is 50% of the reason why women get married. Why will she marry the good provider instead of the guy who really turns her on? Because the good provider, chances are, is not going to abandon her. 50% of the reason that a woman says, I want to marry him. That doesn't mean she's going to be faithful. It means she'll choose him to be married. 50% of the reason why women get married is that fear of abandonment. Why will a woman not date a player? If she knows that he's a player and he's banging every other chick, what's the main reason? She knows that after he does her, he's going to abandon her. So what does the player need to do? He's got to make her feel that she's unique. When I was managing my harem of 5 girlfriends at the same time, I never told each woman that what I liked about them was the same as any other woman. I would make them feel so unique to me that they knew but there was something about them I couldn't get anywhere else. I would turn to one woman and I would say, out of all the other girls I'm dating, you're the only one that understands my sense of humor. No other woman gets my sense of humor like you do. Another woman, I'll say something like, out of all the other women, there's no woman that holds me the way you do after sex. And it's just something I just cannot find elsewhere. Another woman, I'll say something like, you're the only woman that when you give me a blowjob, you give it to me in such a way that it takes me to new heights. No other woman has got that talent other than you. There's just something about the way you do it to me. Each woman needs to feel that she is unique to you. And as long as she feels that she has something no other woman has, she's a lot more open to you being with other women. She doesn't like it, but she's open to it.
Keep going, dog. You hey, you got our attention and everybody else's attention. Please continue.
All right. Emotional need number 6, trust. Now here's the key, because we all know of guys who have lied to women and the women still stick around. We all know those stories. It's not about the fact that whether or not he's honest. It's whether or not she can trust you to be honest, even if what you have to tell her is going to piss her off. That's the key. She needs to know that you're willing to piss her off with the truth. She needs to know that she's going to hear things like, lady, I really like you, but the fact that you smoke means that we would never get married. We can never be in a long-term relationship. I will not get into a long-term relationship with a woman who smokes. Now, most guys are afraid to say that to a woman. They're afraid to tell her just the way it is. But that's what violates the emotional need, because you're too afraid to be honest. That's why I always do something called the false fight. You have to have a false fight. You have to misinterpret something she says so that you get mad at her. Show her that you're willing to be honest with her, even in the risk of pissing her off. That alone will let her know that she can trust you. Like, let's say she asks you a question, do I look fat in this dress? If she looks fat in the dress, tell her, yeah, you look fat in that dress. She's going to get mad. It's a test. And that's when you turn around and say, listen, I will always be honest with you, even if you don't like what I have to say. So deal with it.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems that most men have today, Kermit. I'm sure they try so hard to impress the woman on the first date by trying to be that perfect gentleman. They lose as soon as they go in, man.
That's it. She has to know that you're willing to be so honest with her that you're willing to risk giving up the potential for sex. That makes her know that, oh my God, he must find me unique. Or, wow, I can really trust this guy. A player who's honest about being a player has a better shot of nailing a girl than the player who tries to deny he's a player.
Being upfront about yourself and your game. We always talk about that, please.
Number 7, emotional need number 7, her physical safety. A man must demonstrate that he is capable of protecting her physically from threats of the outside world. This is to make her feel safe. This is for all the guys out there who are not strong, who maybe used to get beat up in high school, all right? Here's how you can use this to your advantage. It's not about being strong enough to give the hit. It's about being tough enough to take the hit. Look at every pacifist guy out there. Why does every pacifist guy usually have women interested in him? Because a pacifist who will not fight usually has the balls of steel and he's willing to take the hit. So even if you're a little guy, if you're willing to get beat up so that she can get away, she feels protected by you. It's not about beating people up. It's about being able to take the hit. So if you've got stories about how you used to get beat up in high school and you don't want to tell a girl that because you're worried it's going to present you in a bad light, reframe it. You know what? I used to get beat up in high school, but every day I still went back. They knocked me down, I got up again. That's more attractive than the guy who has the muscle and goes and beats everybody. You know how they say, always make a woman walk on the inside of the curb?
Yes.
If you do that without explaining why, she might just see you as a gentleman who's being nice. When I make a woman walk on the inside of the curb, here's what I say. Whoa, stop. Get on this side of me. Okay. You see, it's my job as a man to protect you from harm. That's why I walk on the outside of the curb. Just by saying that in the moment means she knows I'm not doing it to be nice. It means she knows that I know that my job as a man is to protect her safety.
Oh, yeah. Keep going, dog. Yeah, this is all you, man. This is you, man. You're doing an excellent job.
Emotional need number 8. A woman needs to know that you can handle her true sexuality. If she's a virgin or if she's a professional escort or prostitute. She needs to know you can handle her sexuality. Why is it for every pimp out there you have a number of prostitutes with him? Because he's one of the few men who can truly handle her sexuality. He's one of the few men that he's okay with the fact that she's going out there having sex with other men, other women. The average guy can't handle that. So when you're talking to a girl, let's use that example, right? The example of Janet. You know, my friend Janet, she did this, she did that, she went to this bar, she had sex with 3 guys. If you turn around and say, hey, you know what, that's just Janet's sexuality, and I'm okay with that. And if you want to have that type of life, just let me know, because we can do it.
Exactly.
You've just proven you can handle sexuality. Women do not want to be responsible for the sex. I knew a woman, and this was early in my development. I met a woman who was a former swinger. Her ex-husband of 10 years were together. They lived a swinger lifestyle. Dude, this girl showed me videos of the orgies she would attend. This girl gave me the pictures that they would take of her having sex with all these people. It was incredible. But that relationship ended. She found a really nice religious guy, but she felt that he could not handle the fact that she was bi, could not handle the fact that she had this incredible life, so she never told him. They're married. They have at least 2 kids. 3rd one on the way when I last talked to her. She gave me all of the videos and the pictures that she had made with her ex-husband and all these strangers. The orgies, the incredible pictures. Her husband, who's a really nice guy, because he's already demonstrated he cannot handle her sexuality, he's missing out on a potentially amazing life. But schmo that I am over here, just because I demonstrated that I could handle her sexuality, she is exploring this stuff with me. And I think that's sad for that husband. So everybody listening here right now, don't be that husband. Be a man who is strong enough to handle her sexuality, because as soon as you are, she will do things with you that she won't do with anybody else. Demonstrate that you can handle the fact that, hey, you know what, my girlfriend likes to eat pussy. Demonstrate that you can handle that. Even a woman who's never had a bisexual experience before you came along is going to be willing to try it with you. Number 9, prove that you have high-quality sperm. The best way to do this, show that other girls are into you. You remember I said 50% of the reason why a woman gets married is fear of abandonment?
Yes.
Here's the other 50%. Prove that at some point your sperm has some quality to it. Now, here's another key with this. It's dependent on your immediate environment. Let's say you happen to be in a small hick town where nobody really achieves greatness in this small hick town. As long as you are one of the top guys in that small hick town, as long as you have a skill that makes everybody rely on you, as long as you have something going for you, you are the highest quality sperm in that environment. So yeah, she would rather be with a good-looking movie star because he has high-quality sperm, he's got the good looks, so he's got the good genetics, he's got the money of Bill Gates, he has the power of a Donald Trump. But guess what? Reality says she doesn't have access to those guys. So she needs to pick the highest quality sperm amongst the group that she's hanging out with. So as long as you're one of the leaders in your group, you know that you have the best shot at nailing all the girls in your group. High-quality sperm is represented by your fashion style, the money that you have, the car you drive, all this stuff. And on just that alone, hey, you know what? You can attract women. You might not be able to keep them around, but you can attract women on just this high-quality sperm element of the emotional needs. You guys do this podcast, right?
Yeah.
This right here demonstrates, this is your demonstration of high-quality sperm. How many guys are doing what you're doing on a consistent basis? How many guys here are forming the relationships you form? Very few. This is one of your demonstrations of your high-quality sperm.
Well, goddamn.
Right. True.
When you're looking to get a one-night stand, or if a girl is looking to get pregnant by a guy, this is what she's looking for. She's looking for the high-quality sperm. She may not care about the other emotional needs. High-quality sperm is 100% of the reasons why some women will just have sex at all. But if she wants something more than just a high-quality sperm, that's when you got to mix and match these other emotional needs. I've reached a point in my game where with any story I tell, I will make an effort to address all 10 emotional needs in any conversation so that within the first half hour, I have addressed every single one of these things. All I got to do is not screw up, and I can take her home. In those first few dates, she's going to be thinking, I want to have kids with this guy. this is another thing. Grab your crayons. This is another thing here, all right? We got another thing coming up here, guys. All right. What is the greatest compliment that a man can give a woman? What's the greatest compliment?
A greatest compliment a man can give a woman.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. That's a good question. I usually compliment on her looks or what? I don't know.
No.
You got me.
The greatest compliment that a man can give a woman is a marriage proposal. That is the greatest compliment that any man can offer a woman.
Right.
A marriage proposal.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
What is the second greatest compliment that a man can give a woman?
Kids.
No.
No.
The fucker.
Oh shit! Knock that ass off, huh?
Yeah. The first compliment, the best compliment, is when a man says, "I want to marry you." The second greatest compliment a man can give a woman is to fuck her. Now let's look to the side of the women here. What is the greatest compliment a woman can give to a man?
Probably fucking him, huh?
That's the second one, but not the first one.
Oh.
The greatest compliment a woman could ever give a man is to say, "I want to have your babies. I actually want to have your babies." Some other guy might raise them, but she wants to have your babies. And the second compliment that a woman can give a man is to have sex with him. When you got a female friend, a woman who buys you stuff, who's nice to you, who tells you all her problems, who listens to your problems maybe, a girl who helps you move. You got a female friend, but she's not having sex with you. It's an insult. And until you understand that the greatest compliment, or the second greatest compliment a woman could give you is sex, if she's not giving you sex, you should be insulted. All right, here's the last one. Emotional need number 10. Every time I say this one, guys laugh because they think that it's a bunch of malarkey, and then once I explain it, they get scared. Here it is. Emotional need number 10. Prove that you are not a homosexual. All right.
Can't get mad.
Yeah, that's funny. Go ahead.
Okay, here's why. Every girl who's ever had a male gay friend growing up knows that he's still in the closet. She knows that maybe he went through a phase and now he's getting married, he might even have kids, but that he's actually gay. She knows about every male friend of hers who's ever been gay. How does she know that you aren't one of those guys who is gay but pretending not to be? So every now and then she's going to test you. She's going to test you by saying, "Oh, well, we don't have to have sex. Sex is not that important. Why can't we just wait for sex?" Now, what would a gay guy do? A gay guy would say,
Yes.
"Well, yeah, you're right. Sex is not that important.
Yes.
We can wait."
Yes. I
A
love
heterosexual man is going to say, "Lady, are you crazy? Of course sex is important."
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, a bitch say that to me, I tell her this.
Shut the fuck up!
Hey, we gonna fuck. The fuck you talking about? But no, go ahead, man.
So that's it. Those are the 10 emotional needs. My entire book is all about how to understand all these tests, how to address the emotional needs, whether it's storytelling, taking the lead, taking action, and the mother-lover theory, explaining that a woman will only want to be a mother to her own kids. But if you're the man in her life, if she feels for 1 second that she has to start to mother you, the attraction is lost, and a guy like me is fucking her on the side.
Now, okay, we are over. Gee, man, this guy can talk for hours, man, and it's so it's so interesting that it's like it just seems like we've been talking for an hour, and it's been like 2 hours, man. This man
It's been 2 hours?
Yeah, it's been 2 hours, man. This man's on point, man.
He's been pointing at the scoreboard.
Now, Frank, we're gonna have to wrap this up, but I want to give you the floor to say whatever you have to say, no matter how long it takes, because you have done an excellent job, and I'm sure people are overwhelmed by what you said. They're probably blown away. They've never had a guy come at them this way, and that's total respect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut the fuck up. Flash is gonna shut the fuck up.
Hey, you are a Caucasian male, right? You're a white guy, right?
Yeah. He seems like he got brother in him, don't he?
Exactly. That's the thing that's mystifying. You hardly ever get too many Caucasian males that are on point with game and on point on how to seize a woman and to know the ins and outs of the game with women. So that's a compliment within itself to you, man. Now I'm going to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Now, please, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to shut the fuck up, and we're going to give the floor back to Kermit. Please, Kermit, say what you guys say. Take your time. It's all you, bro.
Okay, well, let's just take this home then, because I don't want to take up more of your time. And whatever we didn't talk about this time, I can always come back on and we can talk about that.
Hey, I wouldn't see it any other way, my brother. Please, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. I'm going to tell you guys a little story just to wrap this up. It's called the Canyon of Pain. When it comes to getting good with women, you guys can think about it like a canyon of pain. On one side of the canyon is everybody who is suffering. They don't have a lot of water, they're very thirsty, they're very hungry, and they're an incredible amount of misery. But some guys want to stay on that side of the canyon because it's comforting. They know that if they take a trek down through the canyon and up the other side again, it could take years. It's going to be painful. A lot of guys, because they try to make the change, end up in even more pain. You know, the greatest cause of suicide for adult males is divorce. You know, people assume that divorce isn't hard on men. It's devastating to them, both not only financially, but emotionally as well. So a lot of guys stay on the one side of the canyon because they know that if they try to make a change and it doesn't work out, or they end up in pain, they'll blow their brains out. I'm telling you this as a guy who went through the canyon of pain. I'm saying this as a guy who's made the changes in his life, who's tried almost everything out there is to try, and I found out what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And because of my situation, financially, physically, health-wise, a lot of stuff I couldn't use. Other stuff I had to be 100% in my game or I would get nothing because I don't have the margin of error that a lot of other guys get. I still did it. It took me a number of years. I went from 5 years of no sex to having 5 girlfriends at the same time. I went from not understanding women to having a poly date on a Valentine's Day, which is to bring 2 girlfriends together for the same dinner date and introduce them and bring them both back to my place on Valentine's Day. I lost my ex-fiancée to one of my best friends, and 7 years later, I was still hooked on her. I got her back. Against all odds, I got her back, and when I let her go again, it was on my terms, and the pain that I was suffering was over. I've had experiences sexually that I never even thought would come to me, and I was creating them. I have incredible relationships now. I got a really great relationship right now, and I'm happy. I am happier than I've ever been. I'm on the other side of that canyon of pain. It is possible. It takes a lot more work than most guys ever figure. But I am telling you, as somebody who's lived through it, it's worth it. I did it, so you can do it. And I invite you all to join me on this side of the canyon. It's a hell of a view. And that's it.
Where can they go get this information at, Frank? One more time.
One more time, you visit my website, franktalks.com. If go to my website, franktalks.com, and there'll be information there in one of the top bars. At this point, I'm looking to make the world a better place. One interview at a time, helping out one guy at a time, but that's okay. I have found my calling in life, my books, my teachings. Even if I'm not around in a few years from now, the energy that I help create with people, the families that I'm going to help create, the divorces that are not going to happen because some guy came and learned from me, that's a wonderful energy I've helped create. And that is my way of always being alive, even if I'm not remembered.
And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Again, see, I always tell you guys out there, it always comes full circle. I just don't endorse everybody. You have to move my ass. You know how I am, ladies and gentlemen. You know how I am. And you know what? This guy moved me. And this ain't no gay shit, fellas. I mean, he moved me in a way to say, hey, you know what? This guy is serious. Like you say, he came from one end, he came all the way to the other, and look where he's at. This is where you can be. So listen, fellas. Please listen. It's very imperative you listen. You can be a Frank Kermit. You can be a Frank Kermit. It's not easy. It's a long road. You know, everything that shines isn't gold. You have to understand that. You have to realize that. But you have to realize that you can make that change. And just because you are at the end of the road, just because you think things are not going well for you, you think there's nowhere else to go but down, trust me, you can make that change. Listen to this show, please. This is one of the greatest fucking interviews I think I've ever done, because I've got more out of this guy in 2 hours than I've got with damn near anybody else that I've interviewed. And Frank, on behalf of datingformen.com, we really do appreciate you taking the time out your busy schedule, man, to call in and talk to us, man.
Dude, the pleasure's been all mine. I mean, it's only recently that I've been getting interviewed. I got interviewed on the Cliff's List convention DVDs. That was one of my first interviews. I got interviewed by Toe Cutter on the Steve Celeste Smooth Interactions DVDs. I'm trying to get the word out. I got interviewed by Nick Playboy of PlayboySchool.com. I'm trying to get the word out. I'm trying to let people know the only way I really make my money is if people buy my books and spread the word. And any exposure is great, but I got to tell you, I had a lot of fun tonight because I really got to talk my heart out and I got to be challenged, and that's a fantastic thing for a man.
That's what's up, man. That is totally what's up, man. Wow.
And with the feminization of a man, with the alpha male.
Yeah, man. Again, game sees game, ladies and gentlemen. Now, don't forget, this is the After Hours show. Now, if you do not have this, if you do get the After Hours show and you have access to iTunes, now you can go to our news section, click on the button, and download every After Hours show. Now, you have to have this one. This is one that gets 2 thumbs up and a middle fucking finger. This is a 5-star interview. I have nothing but the utmost respect for this man. I will battle down to the ends of earth with this guy, because this guy is got nothing but pure game seeping out of his goddamn body. That's not no gay shit, motherfuckers. Don't take that shit that way. Anyway, Frank, man, hey, damn, dog, it's been a pleasure, man. I'm so impressed by this
last hour.
Yeah.
I got really personal here. I told you some of my own personal story.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll spark.
You know, we ain't gonna make everybody happy, but you know, your opinion is valued on the show and everything. But again, I want to thank everybody, not only in the United States, but outside of the United States, for taking time out your busy schedule to listen to your boy, the goddamn Dean, the motherfucking Flash over here, and our special good friend, who is going to get hey, Flash, how much you want to bet? They're going to start asking me about the sleeves when I tell them. I'm going to send Kermit some sleeves, and Kermit's like, Prime, what the fuck are we talking about? But this is part of some sex shit that, yeah, it's on my sex course. It's a little technique I use, but I'm going to send, it's going to be a brand new box, Kermit, so it ain't going to be no used box. But we're going to send, I look forward to it. Yeah, we got to send Kermit some of that. Matter of fact, Kermit, whenever you get a chance, you send me your address, I will get that out to you as soon as you send me your address, because you deserve a box of them, and I will explain to you after we get off there, because I know people are going to send me emails saying, why are you talking about the sleeves? Where are the sleeves at? Nah, motherfuckers, you going to have to wait. You know what the deal is. We got to do the dark side of dating and work our way up to the sex point. But so anyway, that's going to be our show. I thank my guest Kermit for fucking coming on. frankstalk.com. Please give him your support. Support this guy. This guy is the goddamn shit. This motherfucker's got game. Got motherfucking.
Hey, the toilet, eat the shit.
And Flash, real quick, isn't it amazing? Because I'm still blown away by this shit. But isn't it amazing how you can change? I mean,
yes.
Can these guys?
Me personally going through a life change, because when I was in high school, I went through the same thing, and it never ceases to amaze me when guys get up here and tell their transformation stories and their glory stories. You know, their war stories of how they were whack, and then they went to a Mac. Whack, and then they went to a Mac. Or, you know, they were geek and went to a chic, or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
But how they had trouble getting women, and now They got more women. They got more hoes than they got toes.
And you know the thing about it is, I'm sure if you meet Frank on the street, you'll never know. You'll never know in a million years what this man went through unless he told you. Yeah, unless he told you. So you know what? We're going to shut the fuck up. Anyway, this is your boy, Goddamn Dean. Class is over. We want to thank our guest again. Please check him out, franktalks.com. This is your boy, the Dean, chilling with my boy, the Flash. The Flash, and our guest, Frank Kermit, the goddamn man. We are out.